then the last day we did ECC to BI for logistics, remember?
Yeah. So we have a notes here, we can check it out where we stopped.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. And I did all the lessons in the BI7 environment. So I went through everything once at least, just to keep my mind. But I have a list of things I'd like to do, and I think we left off with, just let me get my list, hang on.
Yep.
All right. Remember, Mr. Mohan, we talked about talking about BI content, reporting, BEX, process chains, custom data source, enhancements to data source, create multi-provider. I can send you this little list.
Yep.
Let me send you this little list of, let's see, Mr. Mohan, or Mr. Madden, right?
Yeah. When I'm a bit busy these days, I'm trying to learn HANA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that should be a cinch for you.
Yeah. I have many students asking for HANA.
So you're going to teach me, Hannah?
If you want, I can. But it will take around a month.
Yeah. In other words, you'll be ready in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I just sent you next steps. So this is your own list that you created. We talked about it. But you tell me. You're the expert.
So, yeah. Replication of BI system for above. Fine. BI content, fine. Reporting, we will have sessions and process chains, yes. Custom data sources, yes. Enhancement of standard data sources.
Right.
It's not just enhancement of data sources, enhancement of standard data sources. Creating multi-provider and creating virtual provider.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Fine.
And you don't teach BO, is that correct?
No, dear, I don't teach PO.
Ah. Okay. So get up to speed on HANA, and then you teach me.
Yeah, and how about data archiving? When you are going to teach me data archiving?
Once we're finished with all of this jazz.
Yeah, I have one more person here who is a colleague to me who worked on data archiving for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he said that he will help me to learn data archiving as well.
Beautiful. There you go. So you can make big money.
If possible, if you are willing me to work offshore, that will be great.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let me start recording.
I'll give you the option to record. Hang on.
Okay. Just give me 2 minutes. Let me do something here. While you get that settled.
Oh, sorry. I made you as a presenter.
To record.
Have you done with yellow extraction? or just the steps we have written it? Stephen? You are on mute. No, you are on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right. Let me make sure that this thing is recording. Hang on.
Yeah. You went on mute once again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, hang on. Okay. Today's the 23rd. Oh, I didn't capture it.
Yeah, system will automatically capture date and time.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in documents, but it's not there. Huh.
Once you stop recording, then it will automatically save it.
Yeah, hang on. Oh, this thing is in German. That's why.
Okay. Change it. You have a language option at the bottom.
Yeah, hang on. I'm trying to find the because it's in German. I can't find. Let's see. Let me just kill it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you kill the audio on your side because everything here is in German. I mean the video. Just kill it.
Okay, for that what you have to do, you have to exit the meeting and relog in. When you are trying to relog in, it will ask you for your language selection.
All right, let me get out.
Yes, Stephen, is it now okay?
No, it's still German. I'm trying to change it. Why would I get German?
See, on top you have a globe symbol.
Yep.
In the GoToMeetings control panel. Just click on the arrow mark just beside that.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I'm going to start this, start recording.
Did you find the option of English?
Yeah, 23rd of January, our 6th lesson. Okay, Madden, go.
Fine. So in the previous session, we discussed about the steps how to load data from ECC to BI when it comes with LO data sources.
Right.
The very first step is to activate your data source, log into ECC, activate your data source, and the T code to activate your data source is RSA5.
Right.
Go to RSA5, activate your data source, and check it whether it is available in RSA6, which is known as post-processing.
Right.
Once it is in available status in RSA6, then make a sample extraction in R3 where you should get 0 records if your setup tables are empty.
Correct. Which you should empty them before you start, right?
Yes. And after that, start filling your setup tables.
Right.
Key code to fill your setup tables is SBIW.
Right.
And select the options of expand setup tables. Click on execute of purchase. So that the setup tables belonging to purchase, application area purchase will be filled. Here, I'm not filling setup tables for individual data source. I'm filling setup tables for all data source which belongs to purchasing.
Right.
Okay. And if you want to see whether the job is successful or not, you can check in background jobs.
Right.
SM37 is the T code to check your background jobs. Clear?
Right.
Now, after filling your setup tables, make sample extraction in RSA3. If you are getting records in RSA3, then your data source is ready to replicate in your BW system.
Right.
And now, once you replicate your BW system, replication can be done at 3 stages. One is at source system level, and the second one is at application level, and the third one is at data source level.
Okay.
Always replicate data source as low as possible.
Say that again.
Okay, let me show you in the system.
Yes.
See, I'm logging into ECC system,
Yep.
RSA5, where I'll activate my data source. let's say one of the data source to alias underscore 02 underscore item.
Yep.
I want to activate the data source.
Activate
Now select
data
this
source.
data source,
Yep.
activate data source.
Yep.
Now go to RSA file.
Yep. By the way, why do you get that warning?
Because some of the errors that already exist in the system, in the standard ones, so I got that warning.
But there shouldn't be a warning because these are standard.
Yeah, but you know, trainee servers, IDS system doesn't maintain all the standards.
Hmm.
So let's see whether it is available or not. Yes, it is. Now go to T-code SBIW. And make sure that your setup tables are empty. Expand settings for application specific.
Yep.
And then logistics.
Yep.
Manage extract structure. Initialization. First of all, we need to delete setup tables. As of now, I'll not delete the setup tables because it is going to take long time to delete it and fill it again. So let me check in RSA 3 whether I am able to extract some records for this or not.
Right. Extractor. Checker. Yeah. Mohan, you got to really learn the,
Yes.
you really got to learn this application so that you can teach me good. You think a
Sure,
month
dear.
is...
I am working with this application from last 4 years.
No, I'm talking about SAP HANA.
Hannah, okay, fine.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
How are you going to learn it in a month?
Yeah, in a month I'm going to complete the course. It's already 10 days over.
Ah.
And I'm not getting time to practice because of the busy schedule. However, this weekend I'll full-fledgedly practice all the 10 sessions.
Excellent.
It is more similar to BW or BO or BODS.
Okay.
I'm also learning few concepts of BO and BODS so that it will be helpful for HANA as well. Individually, excellent. Not with the trainer.
All right. Well, you know, when you're ready, you tell me, so I can take care of you, and then you take care of me.
Sure. And here, see, I'm getting 0 records. What does it mean?
Basically means that at this point, there's nothing.
Other option? Setup tables are empty.
It's empty.
Yeah. So we don't have choice. We have to fill the setup tables.
Yep.
So for purchasing data source.
Well, that's what you wanted. So they're empty, right? So.
Yeah. Job name.
Yep. Date in future.
In future.
Yep.
Execute. So by the time I log into BI system, so RSA1, the very first code, which will take us to the modeling administration workbench. And here, under data source, the file system you need to select is your client file system, ECC system, because we are getting data from ECC system. So here file system you have to select is ECC system. is still under execution. See, once I can navigate to ECC file system from here or from the source system. See?
Okay, in BI.
I can't display data source tree. So that it will take me here. Someone else already replicated item data source, so it is available here. Or this is the first time. If we haven't replicated data source of item, haven't activated yet and haven't replicated in the BW system, then this 2LIS_02_ will not be available here. So in that case, I'll not have option to right click on this data source because the data source is not available, and I'll not get an option of replicate metadata. So what the next level to replicate this data source? I have to replicate it on application component level, which is MM.
Okay.
And how do I find out 2LIS_02_ item belongs to MM? In ECC, you can go for the T code. In ECC, you can go for the T code \n RSA2.
Right.
Go to the T code RSA2, provide your data source name, click on display. This RSA2 will give you all the information of which application component does it belongs to,
right,
and what level of data it is holding, and extractors. Does it support delta extraction? We will talk about in detail delta extraction as we go ahead. Have we spoken about delta extraction?
Very little, but this one supports complete delta with deletion.
Yes. Here, if you click on, double click on extractor,
right,
you will see the standard code given by SAP for this data source. Because this data source is built on function module, and function module holds the ABAP code which will be provided by SAP standard. And if at all you want to build your custom data source using function module, then you don't have choice. Either you have to learn ABAP or you need to seek the help of ABAPer.
Right.
Okay. And if you want to see the list of fields that are available for these data source, double click on extract structure, which will give you the list of fields that are available in this data source.
Yep.
Okay. Total I have 94 fields, which is currently extracting belonging to this data source.
Right.
Let me check.
Let me ask you a question, a side question here while we're talking about ECC and BI. Within the BI environment, what's the quickest way to find out the difference whether it's a DSO or an info cube? Of course, you can look at the actual info provider and look at what each is, right? But is there a quicker way to do it? Like for me, archiving, in order for me to do analysis on DSOs and InfoCube to see what data I'm going to archive, I need to go into each and then go into either display or change and then look at the content of each InfoCube and DSO to determine the age of the data that's been loaded into these targets. You see what I'm saying?
So you want to see how old the data is that is available in the cube or DSO.
Yeah, what's the quickest way from a professional like you that does this every day? Like for me, I have to go into each cube to determine how old and what type of data is in a DSO and InfoCube. We normally want to archive InfoCube because that's at the high level and that's the easiest and that tends to have the longest duration in BI. But what's the quickest way to go in, find out how old and what kind of data?
Okay. So by default, we have to remember one thing here. For DSO and cube, we will always load transaction data only.
Financial, yeah, understood.
Okay. And for customer ID, if you are using as an info object as a target, then it is always master data. We never load transaction data to info object. Clear?
Okay. Yep.
So one question is solved. What type of data it is?
Okay.
Now, to look into the data, right click on the cube, manage.
Yep. Yep. And then you can get a display of the content. Yeah.
Yes. Select it and content. Or directly you can right click here, click on display data.
Okay.
See field selection for output.
Yep.
You can give some credentials, highlight all key figures, select all characteristics and execute.
Yep.
Click on execute again.
Yep.
If you are looking for only date field, then instead of selecting all characteristics in the selection field, you can select only date field and key figures. See, I don't require customer ID in the output, so I'll uncheck customer ID. If I don't require product, I'll uncheck product. So based on product only, I want to execute my data. And I don't want all these technical characteristics.
Yeah.
Key figures. However, key figures are mandatory and corresponding units for it.
Yeah, yeah. But how old is this data? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Once you execute this information, you have a tab to sort accordingly date-wise. So when you sort accordingly date-wise, you will know what is the last date that is available and what is the first date that is available.
Okay, let's do it.
Now here you can sort it. You have an option to sort in ascending order if you want. When I sort date field in ascending order, then I'll have the oldest date in the first row. Are you getting my point?
No, I understand, but when you're talking about millions of rows, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And other concept, usually how do we store data in this is, we create a partition in it. For every year, we create one partition. Or for every year, we create individual cubes.
And
So
that's how normally it's done in the industry. You divide it by fiscal year based on the transactional data that's being loaded to these targets.
Yes. So when I say individual cubes, the naming convention of the cube will be given by its year.
Yeah.
When they give the naming convention with respect to year, then it is obviously by default understood that this data belonging to 2010 or 2011.
Exactly. Yeah. So so this is what I wanted to. This answers my question, because if you're going to do sorting by ascending, and a particular target doesn't have any date criteria outside of naming the info cube by a fiscal year, using the ascending or descending is very cumbersome. Why? Because you have millions of rows within a cube or DSO, and you have to go through that whole process, especially if there's no date. If there's no date in there, you see? So that's why I'm just asking, is there a quicker way? But, you know, what you showed me is how I normally do it, but it's very cumbersome. It's difficult.
So here, one more option that you can see is when you want to execute, you will have an option to see an information for particular period. You can filter records. Let's say I suppose that the data which is 1 year old based on my assumption. So what I'll do, I'll give here a date field of 2011 to 2012. If I'm able to extract record, then one more sample test from 2010 to 2012, 2011.
Right.
And if fields again exist in 2010 and 2011, I want to see whether still older data exists in the system. So date, I'll give it as 2009 to 2010. So here I'm reducing number of records, right? So I'll get till the last date between the year. If I do not find any records till the last date, I'll make this search option.
Right.
Okay.
But the thing here is that you have, in that cube, you have to have a date attribute to be able to do this.
Yes, you need to have date attribute.
And if you don't, right, that's where I find many cubes don't have date. Standard, like customer, real date that you can
at least one point we should have date field, because when I say sales order, it is the document by default should contain a date field. If not stored in InfoCube level, then it must be stored at DSO level, a lower level.
Right, detail.
Yeah, detailed one. So here we have other concept of LSA, layered scalable architecture, where you have more than one layer storing data detailedly at separate layers.
Yes.
So at one or the other layer, you should have date field. Once you are capable of extracting this date field in which layer and records belonging to it and document number which belongs to particular date and your record, you will be able to find out in InfoCube again. So there is no quicker way as of just I click a few of the buttons and get the oldest date which is available in the system.
Exactly. Okay.
Fine. Now, once my okay, now setup tables got filled, and now if I check in extract checker, I should be able to get the records.
Right. RSA3.
\n RSA3.
Yep.
See, 1031 records are being extracted, sample records.
Hang on, let me make sure my recording is working here.
Okay. When these records are being extracted, you can go to your data source or source system, and from here navigate to display data source tree ECC system. So here I am not dealing with flat file system, I am dealing with ECC system.
Right.
So I'll click on display data source tree of ECC, and if this is the first time I am replicating my 2ls_02_ item, then I should right click on material management, because I'll not have this data source readily available here to right click on it, and I can replicate metadata.
Oh, so you're saying that if it's already, Mohan, you're saying, excuse me, you're saying that if LIS02 has already been replicated, you have to replicate at the material management level hierarchy,
no,
rather than...
If it is already replicated, if it is already replicated data source level.
Yeah. And if it is...
If it is not replicated, then you have to go for material management.
Got it. Yep.
If
Yep.
this material management entire application component is not replicated till now, then you have to go for next step.
Exactly. Okay. Okay.
SAP application components level. If this SAP is not replicated so far, then you should go for the source system.
Yeah, but what about if many other components are not replicated either?
Many other will, yeah, if I replicate at the source system level, then every data source, every changes that are made to the data source after replication will again come to the data source. So always we recommend to replicate as low as possible so that it will not affect other data sources.
And runtime too, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Now right click on data source, click on replicate metadata, so that the changes whatever you made to data source will be replicated here.
Right.
And from here the steps are similar of loading flat file. Once data source is available, you have to create your transformations and DTPs and info packages. Okay. And observe here, there is a small square box to this data source.
Right. That's a 3.5.
And some of the data source do not have small square box.
Right.
What does it mean, small square box here?
3.5. That's what it's.
Yes.
It's the version.
Yes.
That
now we will talk about how to migrate this 3.5 version to 7.2.
Yes.
X to 7.x. Migration of DS from 3.x to 7.2, or I'll say 7.x. The very first step is go to decode RSDS. Decode RSDS. Once you go for decode RSDS, you will have in the system, so this is in BW side. This is BW side.
Right. Right. At the menu path, you hit the selection that allows you to convert to 3x to 7. Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Okay. Or if you want to migrate from 3.x to 7.x, you can directly right click on the data source, and the last option you have migrate.
Ah. And what does that allow you to migrate to?
From 3.x to 7.2.
Got it. So rather than going to RSDS.
Yeah. But if you want to revert it back, then you have to go to RSDS.
Got it. From 7x to 3.5 again, yeah.
Yes.
But if you're in a 7.x, you would never want to go back to 3.5 anyway, right? So
sometimes we may require to convert 7.x data source to 3.x.
Why?
Let me define you the process where we convert 7.x to 3.x. So here in our case, I have data source from the ECC system which is in 3.x version.
Okay.